Hello guys, I am back from another video and today we're talking about the deku was in Infinite Stratos. So in the last video deku, I'm just gonna skip this whole part because I tried recording this like several times and the audio was pretty much trash. So yeah, let's just say that well both Momo and Baku are not gonna be participating in the sports festival. And also, apparently Izuku and, Todoroki's opponents are going to be, well, Kendo and Monoma. So, yeah. So, that's going to be the information from, last time. So, yeah, let's begin. So, let's talk about what happens next. So, the match begins where both, Izuku and Todoroki are in the match, are basically like in the same side, because it's basically like a team match, by the way. So, in the other side, there's Kendo and Monoma. Monoma said this: "So, I can't wait to finally meet you in battle. This will be fun. And I didn't even mean to basically, fight my way to you. Now, I want you to suffer." Asuka says this. Well then, you're gonna pay for everything, especially hurting them. As she says this, how pathetic. So, wait for a second. So, Midnight says this. Three, two, one, go! As both Izuku and Monoma start charging at each other, Izuku says this. I will crush you! For Monoma, she says this. Can't wait to make you pay and make Mentor mine. As they collide, did Izuku starts slashing at her a little bit as she copies Izuku's quirk. So when she copied Izuku's quirk, she starts using Izuku's metal manipulation to basically create her arm, basically turning it into a shield. When Izuku saw that, Izuku has to use his shotguns, which when Izuku shoots at her, her IS is shield. Basically, shielded her from from all of that damage. Izuku smiled a little bit as Monoma said this. Why are you smiling, weakling? Izuku says this. Did you seriously forgot? It's a team. As she says this. Wait, what? As she gets shot from the back by wait for a sec. She got shot in the back by Todoroki. So when she keeps shooting at her, she gets attacked by Kendo. As Kendo says this, take this. As Todoroki uses her ice quirk to basically just create a shield for herself, even though she has a shield herself on her IS. But she decides to just use her quirk instead. She doesn't use her fire side all that much, by the way. So she starts using more of her ice as it freezes a bit of Kendo. So back to Izuku. Wait for a second. So while Kendo was still frozen, Izuku is still slashing at Monoma with his two blades. So while fighting her, she basically summons out her IS's strings, red strings, I think it was called, or something like that. I can't remember. So these red strings start attaching onto Kendo as she basically just thrown her like a morning star. Asuka says this, you damn bitch. And yes, I said that because it's 19 plus series. So yeah. So Izuku starts using his swords to basically take her down more. As in take her down more. Is that the actual word? Like take her down more. I mean it's like several words, but it sounds wrong. Let's just say Izuku is trying to attack her. Izuku while attacking her, well wait for a second again. Kendo starts attacking she starts attacking. Wait for a second again. After Kendo basically gets up, she starts attacking, Todoroki. Todoroki defends herself by using her shield to basically deflect all of her attacks. She brings out her large gun as she starts shooting at her a little bit more. So it starts getting a little bit repetitive. So wait for a second again. After fighting a little bit more with Todoroki, her energy runs out as she gets defeated. So in the control panel, I'm just gonna say that well um wait for a sec. Let's just say control panels. Well, there's both Aizawa and well Midnight basically watching. As Midnight says this, interesting. Seems that Izuku and Todoroki seem to be trying to target seem to be targeting Bodovic. As for Midnight, I'm as an I meant I said I actually meant well I actually meant Aizawa. She says this. Yeah, it seems to be more important to try and beat her because she's the problem. As for Midnight, she says this. Yeah, she says yeah, and for when she saw that the teamwork that Izuku and Todoroki were doing, she said this. It was absolutely beautiful. They basically defeated her teammate pretty easily. Wait for a second. Sorry about that. So after basically a little bit of talking, saying that Izuku and Todoroki's strategy is pretty good, and not only that, they basically just defeated Kendo pretty easily because of their team. And because of that, well, Bodefik doesn't have any teammates. Because, after all, teammates are really important in like a battle or something. As when, it's going to be back in the perspective of Izuku. It's back to Izuku's perspective, so wait for a second. So, Izuku says this. So, you're all alone, Bodevik. As she says this. I will never submit to you, you pathetic little boy. Izuku says this. Well then, let's have some fun. So, Izuku starts activating Izuku's brand new ability that he learned from training with Aizawa. Izuku's brand new ability allows him to basically it basically makes him a little bit stronger, basically like the Byakushki's let's just say golden form because I can't remember the special ability that the Byakushki does. So Izuku IS starts glowing the red parts and the purple parts, they start glowing their specific colors. For she brings out just some Uzis as they started attacking. So Izuku starts charging in at well at Monoma using his scythe, but he gets stuck a little bit because of her IS as inertia canceling shield. I think it was called. Yeah, I think it was called like the inertia canceling shield. Because of that, Izuku gets stuck as she says this. Quite pathetic. As Izuku says this, you seriously forgotten? I have a teammate. Gets shot in the back by Todoroki. As she says this, you dang! As Izuku kicks her right behind the head. As she says this, why you're going to die! These gigantic strings start coming out of her IS as they start attacking both Izuku and Todoroki. As they started dodging, I meant dodging. Wait for a sec. So, when Izuku runs out of his energy, his like glowing parts to they started depleting. As in depleting, they start they're basically like dimly lit. I meant dimly lit. As Monoma said this, now you're run out of shield energy. Now, just die. She brings out the large laser cannon or whatever it's called as she aims it as I meant as she aims it at Izuku. But unfortunately, there's two people on Izuku's team. So Todoroki or Shoto, actually I just realized Shoto is actually Todoroki's first name because if you don't know, well, in Japan they write their names backwards. Like for example, Midoriya Izuku um or Katsuki Bakugo. So Todoroki's actual name should be Shoto Todoroki. Actually, yeah, I should change her name. So Shoto starts shooting at the gun or the laser cannon. As the laser cannon basically breaks, as she says this, why you? As she starts using those strings to basically start strangling her. But Izuku just stopped her from doing that as the strings basically come off her neck. As Shoto starts using her sniper rifle, I start shooting it at at her face. As she says this, why you little? As Izuku tells Shoto to basically give her gum. I meant give her gun to him. So Izuku throws his shotguns to her. As the shotguns start blasting away at her armor. As in her armor, I mean wait for a second. I mean Monoma, which her IS's armor starts breaking down because of the shotgun shots from the Izuku shotgun. Izuku brings out the Shoto's sniper rifle. Well, Izuku shoots her right on one of her armor skirting, which breaks. Wait for a second, guys. So while Izuku was shooting at her skirting armor, when it breaks, she starts charging at Izuku as she says this, "Just die already!" As when she's about to slash Izuku right across the face, well, unfortunately, Todoroki comes in for the rescue. So, Todoroki, aka Shoto, aka Dumois, I'm just gonna call her Shoto from now on. So, Shoto's basically starts charging in, bringing out the Uzi, I meant the Uzis, and basically starts charging in, shooting at her. So, Monoma starts saying this. Wait, do you have an ignition boost? That was not in the data. As she says this, sorry, but I actually learned this before. Learning about the whole data thing. As she said this, wait, you just learned it. As she says this, yeah. Now take this. As Monoma said this. No, not the shield pierce. As she gets stabbed across, I meant not stabbed, more like gets her armor like stabbed by the shield pierce, which is basically like a stake inside of a shield. Like the stake is basically in the shield. So she got I meant I meant this. She gets like stabbed several times by the shield piercing. As she said this, dang it. You you Wait for a second. So after getting several shield piercings in his I meant in her chest, or at least in her chest plate, because she's still wearing an IS. She gets a memory of where she was still a kid, a ignorant kid. She was implanted with a nano machine that makes her well somewhat more compatible for an IS. But unfortunately, she was labeled a failure. But well, when, wait for a second again. When Aizawa basically, transferred there and gone to Germany, she teached, or coached, Monoma on how to use an IS properly. She wanted to know why she's that strong. She told, her, well, it's because of her, um, well, her dignity, her, ability to become, strong. It's all thanks to her, it's thanks to the IS Academy. And when she heard that, she wanted to join there so she can, train with Aizawa forever, or at least she thinks. But when she saw in the news about Izuku being the first male that's able to use an IS, she became infuriated, especially because when the news told about, Izuku being trained by Miss Aizawa, well, she became even more angrier. She wanted to make Izuku pay for that. She deserves better. As in I mean Monoma herself. She believes that she's the chosen one. The one that will basically, bring, pure happiness to this world. But when she saw Izuku, she became enraged. So, in her mindscape, she hears a voice. As the voice said this, so, do you want to obtain true power? Power greater than a quirk. As she said this, yes. Now, gimme unbridled power. As in the outside world, everybody sees, she starts looking at everybody as she starts copying everybody's quirk to the point that her, Aya starts, turning into liquid, almost like venom, but except just like in the anime, she starts transforming into, an artificial IS, or at least what I call an artificial IS. I don't really know what to call it. So the IS starts, turning into molten, metal as it starts, wrapping around her, basically like venom, as she transforms into a really, really weird looking IS. It looks like, what do you call that IS? I don't know what that IS is called, but it's just one of those like mass production ISs from Japan. I just can't remember the name. So she looks at Izuku as she just jumps, as she slashes Izuku right across the face. As Izuku's IS is basically, not really destroyed. It's more like, it basically, goes back into its, jewelry form, which I'm just gonna be calling it that. As the IS just looks around, as everybody starts panicking. So wait for a second again. I'm really sorry about the ad in the background that you're listening right now. I'm really sorry. So just ignore it and just yeah, just listen to my really, really, really horrible voice. So in the control module, both, well Midnight and Aizawa were basically saying to themselves, "What the hell? What the hell happened to Bodovic?" Back to Bodovic, she starts, terrorizing the terrorizing the Colosseum, but she becomes docile. So Aizawa says this to everybody: "Everybody, get out of there! All of the the upperclassmen is gonna be coming there immediately and destroying her." As in destroying her, I mean like, trying to, contain her. Izuku was enraged because, well, she literally tried to kill him. But not only that, she basically used the technique that, that Aizawa learned to him Izuku became enraged. As Izuku said this, I'm gonna kill you for that! As for, um, well, for Shoto, she said this, Izuku, please don't! As Izuku says this, she, that was a Zawa's move! That was, Izuku starts becoming a little bit mad. As, Shoto tries to, calm Izuku down. Wait for a second. So, Shoto says this, Izuku, don't worry. You you don't need to act like this, as Izuku says this, but she pissed me off. As Shoto said this, fine Izuku, how about this? So, this is going to be in this perspective of, Kendo, as Kendo said this. What the heck as she sees, Bodovic basically transformed into a creature. So, she sees Izuku getting, I almost said like she was about to get, mana transfer. Sorry about that. I just got, a bit of like fate in the mind because, because I got an idea for like a fate what if. I'm really sorry about that. So um yeah. So she start as in she starts, I mean, Shoto starts telling the IS that it's allowed to, do, energy transfer. After the energy transfer, Izuku said this. Alright. Izuku says this. Thank you, Shoto. As Shoto said this. Alright. I just beat you to defeat that girl. As Izuku said this. Okay. As she said this. And also, if you don't defeat her, well, you have to wear a girl's uniform. Izuku starts blushing as, and also for, for Kendo, she also blushes as she thinks Izuku in a girl's uniform. Uh, so yeah. So Izuku turns back is, IS on. As Izuku only gets, just gets, his gigantic arm, the one that has like a claw, and nothing else, just the gigantic claw. As when, well, Mona, I meant Monoma looks, she looks at Izuku as she starts charging in at Izuku. Izuku jumps around just like an animal, just like, back in the good old days. Because, if you didn't know, in the first episode, Izuku didn't know how to, use his IS, so he had to use, that gigantic claw. So, Izuku starts using the claw as he starts, slashing at, Monoma's IS, the Schwarzenegger, or at least what used to be the Schwarzenegger. So, Izuku, after slicing it a little bit, a little bit harder, Izuku slashing it a little bit more and more and more. As the IS is about to crack open, like just like in the anime where it just like slid open almost like whatever it is, it looked like wax or whatever. It just creeped me out. Izuku slashed it across the the chest to the to the crotch area. Well, Monoma comes out of there. Izuku grabs onto her. Well, it's basically going to be in the mind of of Monoma. So yeah, wait for a second. In the mind of well of Monoma, she said this to Izuku in her mind, or at least what I'm gonna be calling Dream Izuku. She said this. Why did you save me? I literally tormented you. Why? Izuku said this. It doesn't matter. You're you're just a tormented soul. I know what happened to you in your past. And she said this. "Oh, how did you know?" Izuku said this. Well, it's from Aizawa. And she said this. From Mentor? Izuku said this. Yeah. And I intend to protect you as well. And she said this. But why? I tormented you. I just. Why? Aizuku said this. Because nobody deserves to be, well, tormented. And besides, they're basically just like me. As she wakes up, she sees, well, she's in the hospital bed of the nurse's office in the school. As she said this, where am I? As, well, she sees, well, Mentor, aka Aizawa. As Aizawa said this, so, are you okay? As she said this, I'm okay. As she said this, do you remember your name? As she said this, no, I don't remember my name. As she said this, good. From now on, you're just called Lara Bodovic. Now, just get up. I'll just be going now. So after, well, Aizawa leaves, well, she, as in she, I mean, well, Monoma, she said this. Izuku Midoriya. She smiles. Hmm, I think I fell in love with somebody for once. I can't believe I actually fell in love with that guy. A guy that I absolutely hated once. She starts blushing a little bit. As she said this, Izuku Midoriya. So yeah, this is going to be in the perspective of, well, Izuku. Now let us begin again. So Izuku is in the cafeteria eating with, well, with Shoto. Shoto is still eating, well, her yakisoba, or at least her cold soba. I can't remember the name. So I think it was just like cold soba, yakisoba that's like a little bit hot. So yeah, she starts eating. As she said this, unfortunately the IS sports festival is going to be, well, cancelled. Nonetheless, they're going to do a just one-on-one battles. Asuka said this. Really? As she said this, yeah. Because they're just going to do some data research about, well, every single student. So, Izuku looks, behind him. As Izuku sees three different girls. These girls said this. A date with Izuku ruined as, one of the girls started crying a little bit. Izuku said this to himself. What? So, yeah. So, Izuku was approached by, wait for a second. Izuku was approached by, well, by Midnight. As Midnight said this to both of them, well, I meant to both Izuku and, well, and Shoto. As she said this, well, it seems that both of you, well, did the bulk of, well, protecting the students. As she said this, and because of that, we want to, well, reward you. A brand new men's bathhouse. As Izuku said this, wait, what? As for, well, Todoroki, she starts blushing a little bit because, well, she's still disguised as a boy, so yeah. So, when Izuku gets back to, well, his dorm room, Izuku decides to go to the men's bathhouse, which Izuku was basically acting like a king, as Izuku said this. It feels nice. Izuku hears the door open. Izuku said this. Oh no. Wait for a sec. Izuku sees, well, Shoto naked. As she said this, hey, don't look at me, Izuku, you pervert. Izuku said this. No, 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 Izuku starts, looking away. As she said this, oh, come on, Izuku. It's okay, because, well, we're both pretending to be boys. Izuku said this, but you're still a girl, but it's just. As she said this, come on, Izuku. As she said this, so, Izuku, I'm maybe planning to just want to stay here in the IS Academy after all. As Izuku said this. Wait, really? As she said this. Yeah, because, well, you're here. I feel so happy when I'm near you. As Izuku said this. Wait, really? As she said this. Yeah. So, Izuku, I want you to, well, give me a nickname. As Izuku said this, nickname. As she said this, yeah, because, well, we're so close. It feels like we're like best friends. As Izuku said this, okay, how about this, Todoroki, I meant, well, Shoto. As she said this, what? Izuku said this, how about I call you Yuki? As I meant Yuki. Uh, I meant Yuki. Yeah, Yuki. As she says this, Yuki. As Izuku said this, yeah, it's the Japanese word for well snow. As she said this, it's a lovely nickname. Hmm. So, she said this. Alright, guess I'll be getting out now. Izuku said this. Yeah, me too. Good night. As for, well, wait for a second then. So, Izuku says goodnight to, well, Todoroki, aka Shoto, aka Shoto, fine, I'll just call her Shoto. So, Shoto says goodnight to Izuku as well, as it's the next day. So, the next day comes up as, well, it's finally the day. So, the next day comes as everybody was told that they're going to be having a brand new transfer student. So, when everybody looked, they saw, well, Todoroki. As Todoroki said this, nice to meet you all. My name is Todoroki Dumois. It's nice to meet you all once again. As, well, Midnight said this. Well, it turns out, well, Mr. Dumois was actually a miss. The girls basically said this. In synchronize, by the way. What? As every girl basically started whispering, it's obvious. I mean, yeah. No, one of the girls said this. Yeah, it was pretty obvious, I guess, but I never thought she was actually a girl. As they basically started whispering a little bit more, as one of them said this, wait, did they just, oh, I think I just remembered them while opening a brand new men's bathhouse, as, well, Bakugo basically breaks down the door, as she said this, Izuku! She's about to blast a large explosion, as Izuku said this, oh no, 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 as she makes the gigantic explosion appear, as nothing happened. So, yeah, wait for a second. Izuku was saved by Monoma. As Izuku said this, Monoma, you saved me. Thanks. As she basically grabs Izuku by the collar, as she forces a kiss on Izuku. Yep, I mainly based this well series off, well, the anime. So yeah, everybody's in shock, including the and Todoroki, aka Shoto. So, after that kiss, well, Monoma said this. So, you're going to be my husband. I don't want to hear any objections to that. Got it? As everybody said this. What? Izuku said this. After realizing, well, what, well, Monoma said. What? So, yeah. Wait for a second. So, yeah, that's basically what happened in this video. So, yeah. So, I hope you liked the video. Comment and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys next time. Just subscribe to me, guys, because, well, the majority of you guys don't subscribe to me. So, yeah. it would help the channel out if you subscribe to me. So yeah, so goodbye, toodaloo.